All right, we're recording. There might be a couple of stragglers, but I went to fatwallet.com, one of my favorite websites, and this is actually from another one called slickdeals.net. Starting tomorrow at Target, any iPad purchase, you get a $40 gift card. And there was something about the iPad being reduced to $2.99. Oh, there it is. So let's, I'm going to open this little Target ad. And we'll see here. Maybe it's just reduced to that. And the other thing at Target that's kind of interesting, I don't like store cards, and I don't want to sign up for one of their regular credit cards there. But one day at the register when I was buying a few hard drives, because believe it or not, Target had a good deal on some hard drives, I was checking out, and I looked earlier and it says, if I have a red card, I can save 5%. And I was buying $200 worth of stuff. So I signed up for a store. You could get a regular credit card or just a Target store card. Everything except pharmacy and gift certificates, gift cards, because you're not going to save 5% on a gift card that has a value on it. I swipe my Target card through, buy an iPad, buy an iPhone, whatever you buy, even online, save 5%. You can also designate a school to get an additional 1%, and you designate the school, and it doesn't affect yours at all. And then what I do, because I don't like to have any credit card things hanging out there, I go right to the customer service counter, and I use my ATM card to pay what I just bought on this, so I save 5%. So that comes into play when you're talking about iPads and things like that. So this little deal they're doing here, it looks like you can get a mini for $285 and get a $40 gift card. So
how much? How big is a mini?
The mini's a 16 gigabyte to begin with. Oh, look on this ad too. So I don't know, we talk about apps. There's a lot of apps you can buy. You can buy movies. You can buy all kinds of different things. But I'm a very special person. I get 20% off everything I buy at the iTunes store. You can be special too. You can get 10%. Look at this. There's an iTunes gift card that's 10% off. I wait till I find them at 20% off, and I buy them, and then I put them in my iTunes account, and I just have a running credit in there. Around Christmas time, I do a kind of fun thing is, inevitably, you forget somebody on your Christmas, and they surprise you with a nice gift, and you're like, what can I re-gift? Hey, hang on right there a second. So what I do is, I either go get a couple iTunes gift cards, or I do an email, and for the last couple of years between Best Buy and Walmart and some of those, they'll have some 20% off gift cards. So last Christmas, I bought two $50 gift cards for $40 each, 20% off, and they were actually emailable. So I had them sitting in my inbox, or sitting in my inbox, and I waited to see if anybody was going to gift me before I realized it, and I could immediately email it to them and say, I had it there all the time. Don't worry, that was your gift there. Well, luckily nobody surprised me, so I just said, I'll redeem those myself. So I have a credit of them. I got $100 worth for $80. The other neat thing about the iTunes gift cards is on your Mac, you flip the card over and you hold it up to the camera on your Mac, and it will read the number and redeem the card for you. Apple makes it really easy to spend money, and that's how. So just a little thing. So they got that. Apple TV, $99, and so it's $10 off also, Apple TV. So anyway, it's on sale starting tomorrow at Target, which probably indicates there's new stuff coming down the road. But you know what? There's always new stuff coming down the road. You can paralyze yourself and keep waiting and waiting and waiting. Don't buy it till you need it, and then just enjoy your purchase. What was the question?
Isn't Apple TV normally $99?
No, it says it's $10. You get a $10 gift card with it. I think.
Okay, that's
Yeah, you get a $10 gift card. Fry's has it till next Friday for $89 also.
Do you have an opinion on the mini iPad?
A very strong opinion. Not like that's a surprise. I had an iPad 2. I loved it. I got the mini when it came out. And my battery went dead in the 2 because I never used it. And I'm no little lightweight. After using the mini, first of all, my iPad 2 didn't have Siri, my mini had Siri. Huge deal breaker. For me to reply to emails just like that works out great, or just dictation at least. But I have good close-up vision. My glasses are a long way, but for my iPhone and everything, I have my own cheap bifocals. I look below my glasses, and I have good close-up vision. But it was funny, after using the iPad mini, I pick up the iPad 2 and I go, oh God, this thing's so heavy. And then before that, I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread because this thing's so heavy. It's a joy, the iPad mini. But it's all about your vision. Because the iPad mini has the exact same, so 1024 by 768, that's geeky for resolution. Think of this screen. If I move that projector closer, the screen gets smaller, but the image is the same image, right? Who has an iPad I can just hold up for a second for me? Let me just borrow that. So, the home screen's the easiest to compare with. So, it's the exact same footprint as far as the amount of stuff you see on the screen. It's just bigger on the iPad. So I say if sight's an issue, go with this. Yes, you can zoom in and do things like that. For me, my up-close vision is just fine, and I love the Mini. I really love the Mini.
And the Mini has Siri.
All Minis have Siri. iPad 3 and 4, if you have the Retina display, has Siri. iPhone 4S and the iPhone 5 have Siri. The iPad 1 and the iPad 2 don't. And the iPhone 4 and before. Okay? And again, I hope a lot of you start to use Siri because it's the bomb. It really is. Give me directions to the Sacramento International Airport. So I'm going to put a mount in my car.
Directions to Sacramento International Airport.
For my Mini. I can use my iPhone, but you can see this. I'm not touching this. There it is. And since
Starting route to Sacramento
I have a
International
headset set
Airport.
up to it,
Head west on Lusk Drive.
okay, now I tap the screen and I have my little ETA. Now I'm going to do that on the iPhone because there's no headset hooked up to it. Give me directions to Sacramento International Airport. And because I'm handheld, she'll give me a choice of routes, okay? Because the other way was, hey, you don't want to have to look, I'm going to give you all voice and everything. Well, she didn't in this case, but yeah, normally it would do it. But now, find In-N-Out Burger on my route.
Here's an In-N-Out Burger. It's about 2.5 miles west. Would you like to get to?
So it'll find things on your route. Make sure you hit in. Now, I got to tell you, you can buy, the iPhone is always connected. And it's your big GPS device. I was only showing that so you could see the bigger screen. The iPad mini, you can buy it as Wi-Fi. Any iPad you can buy as Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi and cellular, okay? If you buy the cellular version, you do not commit to a contract. You can pay month by month or not even have it. Mine is not, I don't pay anything because I don't use the cellular side of my iPad mini. But you pay $130 more on any iPad to have that option for if you travel to Europe. But the other thing you gain for that $130 is it actually has a real GPS in it. Where if you have an iPad that's Wi-Fi only, the GPS won't be as accurate. But if you have an iPhone, that's of no concern. Okay?
As far as I know, they say you don't have to have a contract, but they charge you like $30 to establish it and then.
No, initially it's just that it's month to month, and you shouldn't have a fee to establish it. Who was that with?
AT&T.
No, it should just be 30 for you buy the data plan. And the newest thing for the phone companies is both AT&T and Verizon is you go buy buckets of data from them, and you share it amongst your devices. So I'm lucky. I have the unlimited grandfathered in plan on my AT&T phone. So I don't want to get the shared hotspot thing because I would lose my unlimited. But if it's a family, if you have two iPhones or two iPhones or an iPad and stuff, this shared data plan is good. The phone companies are smart. They're saying, well, we're going to give you unlimited minutes and unlimited text, because Apple has iMessage, you get free text, and you're not making any phone calls anymore, but we're going to make you buy buckets of data. And so you buy the data along the way, and you share it amongst all your devices. And that's really cool. All right, so GPS is great with Siri. It's the bomb. It really is.
I thought it would be big, actually, so with the new things like you get to do with GPS.
Well, but you're on Verizon, so you can actually, you'd get a better GPS if you plan on using it for GPS, but to be honest, the phone works really well. So in your case, you Verizon customers, you can buy it that way and have that option, but the nice thing is you can set your iPhone up as a hotspot that sends the Wi-Fi signal to get you on internet on your computer or your other devices. AT&T does that with shared data and things like that. So there's less need to get a cellular version of the iPad if you have a shared data plan and you can set this up as a hotspot.
How do you set it up as a hotspot?
Pay money. No. You're on AT&T?
Yeah.
Are you on unlimited?
No.
Okay, if you're not on unlimited, but you have a limited data plan, I think. So you can't be on their lowest data plan. You have to upgrade to the $30 a month plan, and then you pay to allow it to do tethering is what it's called. But it's built right into the phone. I'll show you where it is. I can't do it, and I don't want to do it because I'm on unlimited. But if I go into General, and I go to Cellular, right down there, Set Up Personal Hotspot. I have a client, the guy I told you that has he's not a very heavy user, and he did the suffix of the passwords. He doesn't have internet at his house. He uses his Verizon iPhone, and his iMac uses that internet. But believe me, it's a lot more expensive to get internet from them than it is from other people. And I'm going to speak about internet in 1 second because I like to pass deals along. But go ahead, Leslie, you had a question.
Do you have to pay for the iPhone?
I'm sorry?
I think I paid for the iPhone.
No, you don't pay.
I think she has to pay for the
No, the old Mobile Me, if you exceed the 5 gigabytes, you have to pay. But you shouldn't have to exceed 5 gigabytes. All right. Since we're talking about internet, I have this little device by a company. So this is a Wi-Fi hotspot. And what that means is everybody has at home, they have home internet, and you get it from Comcast or AT&T or SureWest. And it comes over that copper line or copper pipe and goes to your house, or some of you might have Clear or some other wireless ones. But it comes into a modem, and then you have a router that distributes it both wired and wireless throughout your house. This gets a cellular signal from Sprint and becomes a Wi-Fi hotspot for, I think, up to 8 devices, but most of them are usually 5 devices. I got this from a company called Freedom Pop. Freedom Pop is kind of the new, let's try really get it out there. You can actually get free service. Last time I told you how to print for free or make money. I better do this in Google Chrome because it's got my account and it won't give me as much stuff. Freedom. So, Freedom Pop, I think they give you 500 megabytes for free. and you have to buy the device. Now, you want to do the address check to see, because you may be limited on your choices depending on where the service is. You may have to pay $4 a month to get both 4G and 3G if you're not in a 4G area. And actually, at the end, if you guys come up, I'll check your address. But if you just go where Clearwire is, and it'll show you where it is. But I'm paying $20 a month. I get 2 gigabytes of data on 4G and 3G. And it's great. And everything else, you pay $40 a month or more to have this. So now my iPad mini, I'd rather pay them $20 a month and get 2 gigabytes, and I can use my laptop, I can use my iPad, I can use anything else, rather than pay AT&T $20 a month to just have it just on my iPad. So now, this doesn't obviate cellular data on your iPhone. That's still the way to go. But if you're on a limited data plan, somebody came up earlier, you have only, 200 megabytes on your, so if you got this, you'd get another 500 megabytes for free, and then you could expand that for another $20 or so. My mother, who has not had internet at her house, she used her iPad, the 3G cellular on her iPad. She got 2 gigabytes a month. Now she has somebody helping her there, and we want them to be on Wi-Fi. So they actually had a home version of this, and for $18.99 a month, I think, she gets 10 gigabytes of data, and it's a little router that cost us like $80, $90 for the router. You pay for that up front, and then there's no monthly commitment or anything. This cost me $40, and I paid for 1 month of service at $20. So Freedom Pop.
Is that on internet you buy, Fry or something?
No, they don't sell it. It's only online. And if you email me, there's some deals around with different devices and stuff like that, and I can help counsel you to make sure, because and the other thing is you may have to use a different address when you first check your coverage, and then you can get it sent to your place, because they want to make sure you're in a 4G area. But anyway, I just like to bring this. That's a remarkable price. So I just can keep this in my car when I get my iPad mini set up in my car for my GPS. I'll just have this constantly plugged into my cigarette lighter adapter, and off I go. 2 gigabytes is plenty of data for me. I'll probably be able to do the free 500 megabyte, and then I'll pay an extra $4 just to have 3G service. Freedom Pop. It's fairly new. If you listen to Clark Howard, he puts it up a lot, and it's really pretty. No, that's the go. Okay, leads into my next thing. All right, podcasts. I always said this is a computer that happens to make phone calls, and hopefully gets connected here. This is a computer that happens to make phone calls. It's also the best camera in the world because it's the one you have with you. But I use this for tons of other things. And the same would apply to your iPad. I can listen to Tom Sullivan in the afternoon on iHeartRadio for free. I hear commercials. I listen to Armstrong and Getty in the morning on iHeartRadio, or I can get their podcast after the fact and listen to it with no commercials. They have a 4-hour radio show. So if I go into my podcast app, which is free from Apple, my podcast app. By the way, there's some great podcasts. If you guys, whoever's taking notes that wants to send me an email later, I'll show you some good Mac podcasts. There's Clark Howard is on. You can get a Clark Howard podcast. So Clark Howard used to do 2 hours in the morning from 10 to noon. And if you look at this first one over here, his 1 hour show is brought to you in 34 minutes and 29 seconds. That's 25 minutes I just got.
Absolutely.
I like that.
No commercials.
But that's not good enough for me. Let me see if I have it on this one, because And I can be walking around Home Depot, I'll use my little headphones, whatever. And that's actually stored on the device. I'm not having to use data, okay? So let me go to podcast so you can see it here because I've got it hooked to the speaker. Oh, gosh. All right, well, I'm not going to switch this. I'll do it quickly here. So Clark Howard, I have some downloads. Here's Clark Howard. Oh, playback error. Nice, thanks. Nice talking to you. All right, let me go to another podcast. Bill Handel and the Law. Anybody ever listen?
Yes. Yeah.
He's really funny. He has 6 hours worth of radio, and it's a free podcast. Armstrong and Getty, like we talked about. Let me see. Gosh, unfortunately, I haven't been keeping up with these. If you don't listen after a while, it stops downloading them, but it'll download them automatically for you. So let me go to Mac Break Weekly. That one I know I have. Catnip for Geeks. So you'll notice
read your encrypted data on your portable device or even file vault, and we'll talk about what to expect at
Hang on.
WWDC. It's all coming up next on Backbreak.
the way the headphone plugs in, it throws the screen off.
Netcasts you love.
Okay,
From people you trust.
so
This
who store information in such a way that the government cannot read it if they
So,
want to.
in the podcast, I'm playing this at normal speed.
It's never really going to end. Fortunately, the
So
courts
Clark Howard, that'd be
tell
34
everybody
minutes,
that
right?
stuff, Absolutely. They're
Most radio people
have
talk
been
slowly,
law
unlike me.
enforcement have tried to
I'm going to try this at
into
1.5 speed.
various internet-related legislation, information-related legislation that says that law enforcement shall have freedom of access to certain
That's
data stream
Andy
or certain
Anaka.
product. And that's never gone in. Right. That's never gotten. As soon as that.
That's actually,
But this is really, really a threat to Apple, I think.
This is
because
1.5
once you really
speed.
get hooked into Google now, it's really a compelling thing.
You're right. I'm just checking that article. I misunderstood it. I was reading an article on the next web that said the notification center.
I don't hear Alvin and the Chipmunks.
No.
I'm playing at 1.5 speed. It cuts out the dead spots. It doesn't make them talk like this because they're talking in their own voice. Let's try it at double speed.
Imported to Chromium Mac as kind of the beginning of what would be needed for a Google Now. Would have to be a notification.
I would be surprised if they don't announce it.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
So now that Clark Howard that was 34 minutes, what, 17? Is that right? 17? Yeah. 17 minutes. So Armstrong and Getty, their 4-hour radio show that takes about 38 minutes without commercials. I can listen to all 4 hours in an hour. And I can pause it, I can hit rewind. I'm going to put this back on the screen for you. You heard it. That was the biggest thing to show you the difference between the speeds. I pretty much am using 1.5 most of the time. I'll show you the interface. Our internet is actually being fairly cooperative today, which is wonderful. Oh, shut up, Ken, don't say anything. So the podcast interface is on the iPhone on here on the left, and there's my little button up top that shows me the speed. I can even go half speed if I want to. I can scrub through it. There's my play pause, and I have 15-second rewind or 15-second forward. Many times if I'm listening to 1.5 speed and I missed that, I hit the back and it clicks back. It's like your DVR on your TV at home. Podcasts are wonderful. The majority of podcasts are free. Tom Sullivan charges for his podcast. He'll give you an hour for free, but the rest of them. But many of the good podcasts out there are free, and for the most part, they're either commercial free or very reduced commercial, and it has to do with the licensing of the actors for the commercials don't agree to this, and so they just drop them off. And you hear sometimes little ads on them. Anyway, podcasts are wonderful. These are Mac podcasts. Handle on the Law is hilarious. Not Tom Sullivan, Armstrong and Getty. Clark Howard, How to Save Money. There's a ton of podcasts out there. I mean tons. And you can subscribe to them, And all you do is you go into music. Oops, iTunes, excuse me. Actually, you can go from the podcast app now and go into my podcast, top charts. So here's the top charts of podcasts. And I can go listen to a sample of the podcast. And if I like it, I can just download that iteration of it, or I can subscribe to it. And then this thing will say, I say, well, give me the 5 most recent unplayed ones, and it'll constantly be on my iPhone for me. And my iPhone's always with me, and I'm not downloading it takes data, but if you're at your house and you're on your Wi-Fi and it downloads it, fine. There's also video podcasts. Excuse me. The Mac Break Weekly just listened to is also a video podcast at the same time, but since I don't need to see what they're doing, it takes so much more storage to do a video podcast.
Is that stuff drain the battery?
Video a little bit. The audio, not so much. It's just like when you play music on it, because it stores it on the device. It's like playing a song. Hardly uses the battery at all. Go ahead.
There's some good ones, like if you like to travel, Rick Steves has a bunch of video podcasts about different places.
Yeah, and then you could pick the ones that you're interested in, you know. You may not be interested in Turkey, but you may be interested in Greece or something like that. So, yeah, there's just a plethora of things out there. We mentioned iHeartRadio, which is where you can get all the Clear Channel stations. There's AOL Radio, there's ABC Radio. You can get pretty much any station out there live, but that's streaming, which means it uses data and it's not stored on the device. And if you're in tough cell reception areas, you may not get a signal. Okay? So that's streaming. Podcasts you can stream, but usually if you're on Wi-Fi, you download it. You can say, only download my podcast when I'm on Wi-Fi. And that way it'll only go when you're at home or somewhere else where you have Wi-Fi, it'll update your podcasts. They're huge. The other thing along that line is there's what's called iTunes University. And I'm going to show you on the Mac because it's a little easier to see. And am I going to show it to you on the Mac? Good ringtone. Right here. Well, so we'll go through music, movies, TV shows. Oh, by the way, if you rent a TV show or if you rent a movie, you have to start playing it in 30 days, and once you start playing it, you have 24 hours to complete it. But iTunes U. This is a little-known resource. You can download it to your device. There are courses from Stanford. There are courses from MIT. There are courses all over the place, and they're free. There's also some, I forget the name of this other place that now they're doing this a lot. But in addition to that, you have the TED courses. There's an app for TED, T-E-D. Speakers on any subject you can think of, and you can download it. This stuff is with you all the time, and you're sitting there getting the oil changed on your car, and all they got's People magazine.
No.
Or Car and Driver. Fine by me. But I just go in here and I catch up on that stuff. I don't mind sitting there anymore. At the doctor's office, everywhere else. And if it's an audio one, I play it in my car rather than listen to commercials. Clark Howard's a great example. I now listen to his podcast rather than listen to him live, and I got 25 minutes per hour back. What am I going to do with all that extra time? I don't know. Exactly. And I could see that's only in regular speed, and I usually do 1.5 speed is usually pretty good. Most radio personalities talk slow enough that 1.5 even to 2 works really well. In addition to iHeartRadio stuff, there's Pandora. Who doesn't know about Pandora? Pandora is just it's an app, and it's a website that you can go and say, play songs by Justin Bieber. Go ahead, I dare you. Play songs by Justin Bieber, or it'll also find similar artists or similar songs that you like, and you can sign in and build up a playlist, Google Play, things like that. That's all streaming. You don't store that on here. Okay? Next, though, we take the same thing to TV. Show of hands, Comcast customers. Okay? Dish Network. DirecTV, Sure West, AT&T, regular over the air. Okay? So other than Sure West, the majority, and over the air, most of them have apps for your iPhone and your iPad. And not so much for the Mac because of the whole content issues. So I'm going to go, let me get my screen back up for you. Launch Xfinity TV remote. Oh, didn't like that. Oh, there it went. So I just told Siri to launch an app. I have 500 apps in there. I could go through and look on my screens and keep going like this, but I just told it to launch Xfinity TV app, okay? Now, this is today's TV schedule. Let's see, I want to see what... falling skies. So I'll tap on that. Wow, no description. Oh, there we go. There's a bit of a description. Now, this is tied into my DVR at home, which is not, it's just amazing how it works. I can say record it, or I can change the channel. It tells me about it. I can press record, and it'll set it to record. If you're away from home and you forget to record something, sometimes there's a half-hour buffer, but usually it'll do it. I can say, well, what's on tomorrow when I hit today? Let's see what's on Tuesday at 1 p.m. There, changes to that. I can scroll that back up. I've got the whole thing here. I can swipe sideways. A little bit of a delay. It's a better listing than you get on the TV. Leslie?
How did you connect it to your TV?
It's not. That's coming later, and I show you the next step. This is with Xfinity. I have a DVR, and it's not too much of a two-way street. It is a little bit, but I don't have Ethernet or anything plugged into it, and you don't have to have Comcast Internet. You've got that big copper cable that comes to your DVR, and it also has a two-way street. Like if you do a pay-per-view, believe me, if you do a pay-per-view, they're going to know that it's your box, and they're going to bill you. So that goes back to them. This can interact with my box. But this is just a listing from Comcast, and what it does is, so you sign in with your account and your password, and it says, oh, tell Ken's box, or if you have two of them, which box? Tell that box to record it. Okay, now, it gets better than that. I can go in here and hit Dvr Manager. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, so the 600 pen, 2020, 60 minutes. That's telling me what I have on my DVR. It's so painful to do it with the remote. I can go right here and manage that. Okay, so far I'm just interacting with my DVR, and it's not instantaneous, but if somebody's sitting at your house watching TV and you click change channel, it won't take too long, and you can screw with them all you want. I don't know how it happened. No, I'm showing you Comcast because I know it well. It works with Dish, it works with DirecTV, and it works with AT&T Uverse. Okay? This is Xfinity TV Remote. It's free. It comes from it. So the other thing that's really neat, and I'm just hooked up a friend on Dish Network. Well, so these are the features that make it so much better than what you see on your TV to interact with. Because I can also go up here. Let's go back to TV listings. How hard is it to search for something coming up? Okay, I can search for, I don't know if this old house is still there. Flip this house. This means. So I'm just searching. I'm using my keyboard. I can even tell Siri to search, not search, but I can use dictation. So that's so much easier than using that clunky remote that doesn't have a keyboard on it. Now, I can also go to my on-demand. And now this will vary between your iPad and your iPhone. There's different rights out there. These are things that I can play right now on my iOS device because I'm a Comcast customer. Okay, you'll have the same thing with Uverse and everything else. And then those are the on-demand things, and then I can go to Play Now, and these, taking slow. So this is stuff that can play immediately on your iOS device without looking at your TV. You have an extension to your TV. I'm going to get out of that. So notice there's see, I don't subscribe to this channel. See the locks? I don't subscribe to HBO. By the way, if you subscribe to HBO, there's an app called HBO Go, and you sign in with your credentials to Comcast or Direct or Dish, and it checks that and allows you to watch HBO programming directly on your iPad. Because you're subscribed to HBO, yes, for nothing if you're subscribed to HBO. Find somebody with an HBO account. All right. So this is Xfinity. Dish Network does an even better job with this, and they have a thing called Sling. So I'm going to now demonstrate. I have a little box, no monthly fee, hooked up beside my TV, and it's going to connect and watch my TV live on this device. Did earlier. And so it's a device called a Slingbox. They're about $250, $300. It sets next to your TV. I can completely control my DVR. We have slow internet is what the problem is. Before the class, I did it. And what it does is it's basically going to show on here the same thing that's on my TV. And this doesn't matter what service you're on, because it has a little wired remote to go up and you can change channels. I can look back through previously taped things. This is essentially like the TV that's hooked to your box, except it's here, and it can be on your computer. Our internet is not going to let it happen, but it's live. The problem is it's susceptible to the internet connection both at your house and here, and what it does is if you get a really good connection, you're going to get a crystal clear picture. If you're in your house on your same network, it's going to be crystal clear. On the internet, it's only as good as the weakest link. So what it does, it'll still play, but it won't be a super, super clear picture if it's a weak internet. That's called Slingbox. There is no monthly fee. You pay for the device. If you're on Dish Network, the new Hopper and one of the Dish boxes have Sling built into them. So, for instance, my mom is getting Dish now, and with her new internet, I'll be able to go in and check out I can watch stuff off for her Dish. You had a question back here?
You have to turn on TV at home if you're away. How do you?
No, the portrayal is it's like that TV. So if the TV's hooked to the same box I'm looking at here and I change the channel, it changes them, but the TV doesn't have to be on. It's basically you have your box from your DVR, right? Your digital video recorder from Dish, Direct, etc. It has an output to a TV, all right? Slingbox kind of gets in the middle and takes an outlet to the Slingbox. Okay? So these are mirrored. If the Slingbox says be on channel 22, this is going to be on channel 22 because the Slingbox tells this to switch to channel 22. And you can control that. And then what happens is this goes and hooks to your router, your internet router. It's connected to it, and this goes out to the internet and then goes to your device. So what happens is the Sling is connected to the internet, and you're using the internet to view it. Obviously, it uses data. But Sling's been around for quite a while. I've been using Sling for over 10 years. And the app's like $15 for the phone. Belkin has a thing now like it. Halpage has another one. But anyway, there's a lot of alternatives. But I'll tell you, Sling becomes less needed now because your TV provider is now making it so you can watch more things online. And the only thing holding them all back is the digital rights management. The movie studios have to wrest control. It's kind of like when iTunes first came out. The music places, the music companies were saying, oh, you can't do that, can't do that. They're so afraid of it. Just embrace it and let it happen. NBC just embraced it. I'm a big hockey fan. I've been watching the Stanley Cup. I couldn't get home to see it. I downloaded an app. I used my Comcast credentials, and I was able to watch live in the NHL on my iPad and my iPhone. And I didn't have to hook to my house anywhere. So the golf, they were doing the golf that way. What was it, the Masters or whatever the most recent one was? They had it all broadcast on that. And we think Apple, that's what they're working on, is to make something like that where you can take it anywhere. All right. So any questions on TV?
One dumb one.
It's not dumb. You didn't ask it.
Yeah, no, but it's gonna be dumb. I've got, an iPad and the computer in one room, the TV's in another, and just a simple question, how do you get the message from the computer to the TV set?
You want what's on your computer to show up on the TV?
Yeah.
Apple TV.
Apple TV,
Mhm.
that's it?
Yep. And what I have, as long as you have a fairly recent Mac, whatever I have on my screen, just like it's doing here, but it would be wireless to it.
Wireless.
Yep, on Apple TV. But in your case, do you have a router at your house, or are you using the thing?
No, I got it.
If you use your own router, yes, no problem. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Also, if you have Apple TV, you have a remote control app on your device that can control it. We did reminders. Let me look here. A lot of book readers in here, I'm sure. There's an app called, if you want to get books from the library, Overdrive. And you need your library card and you log in. The funny thing is, though, even though they're digital books, the library still only has so many copies, so you may have to get in line for that book. But you can reserve it, and when it becomes available, you get a little notice, and it says, hey, War and Peace is available. Go ahead and download it. And you check it out for a certain length of time, because it really is like a real book in that regard. Kindle. Who here uses Kindle? Okay. I'll give you the old story. When the iPad first came out, there's a Kindle app on it. And you could log into it, and they had the little Kindles. First of all, the original Kindles, not the Kindle Fire, but the original Kindles in the Paperwhite, are great for bright sunlight. The Kindle Fire and these devices don't work really well in bright sunlight. And the original iPad was great, but the complaint was, because it's a little heavier than the original Kindle, they says, you're reading a book and you're in bed, and when the Kindle falls and hits you on the nose, it doesn't hurt you. But when the iPad hits you on the nose, it hurts you. Well, the iPad mini is light enough that you can fall asleep and have it hit you on the nose, and it's no problem. But there's a little thing here. So Amazon sells the Kindle fairly cheap. In fact, they lose money on it. But it's a pathway to their store, not just for books, for everything else, and that's fine. But on the iPad, you have a Kindle app, which is free, but it's not a pathway to their store. And the reason for that is, and it's not that Apple's trying to move Kindle out, Apple has a policy, anything bought inside the iPad or iPhone or the Mac in an app, they take 30% and give 70%. Now, in the developer stance, that's really good. Most developers jump on that in a heartbeat because Apple processes the credit card. They store it. They make the updates happen. They do a tremendous amount of heavy lifting, same with songs, all for 30%. Developers love it. But Amazon needs to be competitive on their books, so they don't want to give that 30% up to Apple. So you just go to Amazon.com on your browser and say, buy this book, and then it says, download it to my iPad mini, download it to my Mac, download it to my Kindle. You can do all of that. Okay, so that gets around the 30% deal, and it's fair. Apple iBooks are just through Apple, so they don't take the 30% out. But you don't see that, it's transparent. But once it's downloaded, you read it in the Kindle app. If you're reading War and Peace on your Kindle, and you're reading it on your Kindle app, they sync with where the pages are. Okay? So what that says is, if 2 of you, or 3 of you, or 10 of you are sharing an Amazon account, don't be reading the same book. Because you'll never remember what page they're there, and then it's a battle back and forth. And War and Peace is a big book. It'd be good to throw it at somebody, but you don't want to throw your iPad. Okay? You can bookmark it. So, question?
I just got, I don't even know where I got it, 3M Cloud Library, and I have Overdrive, which I use, I get books, but now I've got this 3M Cloud Library, and I find books on there that are available to me right away, and I can tell.
Do they cost or are they free?
No, it's like a library.
I won't tell anybody. No, I don't know. There's a lot of public domain books, and that's what it might be. I don't know about that one, so 3M, give it a shot. I'm too busy listening to Clark Howard that I don't read enough books anymore. I'm still on the first chapter of the Steve Jobs book. There's also, iBooks we talked about on Apple too, the iBooks. And then there's the amazing thing Apple has revolutionized, and this has also been really quiet, textbooks. They've revolutionized textbooks. And they made a mandate that any textbook that's in, and it's iPad only for the textbooks, no textbook can be more than $15. But it's the scale. Think about what software for the Mac used to cost. And now the majority of the apps for the iPhone and even for the Mac are under $10. Because they sell tons of them. It's really, and so they're trying to commoditize textbooks. So if you think about it, the kids can go to school with an iPad and not carry a big old book bag. And the textbooks are completely interactive. I'll see if I have it here. If not, I can't download it. Launch iBooks. Let's see if it loads. We'll see. This is a free one. It's by E.O. Wilson, big biologist guy. So I can go through this. This is a textbook, completely interactive. Here is a little video from him, but I'll show you some of the other stuff. It can link to websites. There, I just did that. It blew it up. I can do whatever I want. But I want to go to one here just to show you the interactivity. Here's one. You know, it's I think it was the population on how it expanded from the original. Oh no, that must be warming because it's back 2003. Oh, here we go. World photosynthesis activity. And I can move this slider along the bottom. I mean, how cool is that for a textbook? Because I don't know if you know what a racket textbooks are. A lot of my friends are teachers, and it's such a racket. And these days, the textbook ties in to the internet. So you can't buy used books anymore because the book has a serial number to access the internet, and that's a one-time use serial number. So the person next year can't use that book with the online interactive site. So this was one of the last things Steve Jobs did, and I really think, and it's been embraced by a lot of them. I think there's more still to come on it. But $14.99 is incredible for textbooks. And we'll see. I mean, I think the groundswell will have to come from the schools for this to happen because the publishers have a racket. All right. So I put on here, the next thing I have is scanning apps. Those of you that, when I talked, I had that Brother presentation, the Brother printer that you can essentially print for free. Well, it also has a scanner on it, so I can scan to my Mac, right? Well, there's a subsequent Brother app that allows me to scan documents to my iPad. Okay? So most printers, if you're able to print from your iPad to the printer, you can also scan from the printer to the iPad or the iPhone. And that's really, really handy. But when I started thinking about scanning, I go, oh, I have this scanner app. Let me see if I have it here. And I have one called Police Scanner. So I can go here. And I mean, it's no big deal. Browse by location, United States, California. You know, it's the old ham radio or whatever here. Let's go Sacramento. Let's see what the cops are up to. Sacramento. This is on the internet. Their radios are on the internet these days. And of course, there's no traffic right now. But it's interesting too because there's record. But you know, I wonder if it's just not putting out. Let's see here. All right, let's go to demo fail. I did it early this morning. I don't know if it's not coming out through the speaker or what, but when that lights up like that, it's supposed to be. Maybe it's made to not come through the headphone. But anyway, there's another one called nope, I don't hear it. Anyway, the other thing is there's a really neat app that I use called, let's see if I have it on my iPad. I know I have it on my, no, I'll use it on the iPhone. If you're going by, if you want to, traffic, obviously there's some traffic apps, but CHP Traffic, this is their online dispatch center, and it shows you what's going on. And like if you tap on that, it gives you the description, the time, and everything else. And that's just a free CHP Traffic app. Speaking of traffic, Apple Maps has, you'll notice there's a page curl down here, okay? When I tap that page curl and I say show traffic, give it a second. Oh, there might be traffic up by Folsom Lake because of the boat races. Let's see if it, okay. We're in luck, there's no traffic. Well, let's check the iPhone. Show traffic. Wow, time to go driving. Anyway, the yellow are just the lines, and it'll show up as yellow dots or red dots. And you've seen there's those traffic cameras and then the sensors in the pavement. These are what, the radio stations used to have the guy in the helicopter giving you the traffic report and it's all okay on Interstate 80. Yeah. Well, now there's no more copters. They installed all these little sensors in the freeways that tell the speed. The CHP or Caltrans gets that, and that's what the radio stations use. And they use like this app to see what's going on in these different places. So you're getting access to that in here. Now what's interesting is when I go, like earlier I had it give me directions to Sacramento National Airport. It gives me the time to get there considering the traffic at the time. Soon it will update as you go, but the other really neat thing is in the near future, Apple Maps will anonymously use your movement along that path to give even more accurate real-time traffic statistics of that location. Google's doing that, and Apple's going to be doing it. And it's totally anonymous. It just says such and such is moving at this speed, along with, and it's crowdsourcing. It gets a whole bunch of other ones over there. So that's very cool, and it really does help, and it's damn accurate. It really, really is. Now, there's another app. There's a free app. For those of you that don't have the turn-by-turn directions on here, it's called Waze, W-A-Z-E. Waze is a free app, and it's crowdsourced traffic. And when they had Carmageddon in Southern California, when 405 was closed and all that, people used Waze. And there were side streets and everything. Well, one side street would get blocked, and Waze would say, no, you don't want to go that way, go this way. So Waze is very good, and they're on the cutting edge of that. We think they'll probably get bought by someone. But it's fantastic.
What's the total address on
W-A-Z-E. It's an app. W-A, Waze, W-A-Z-E, like Haze, but with a W. Oh, yeah, speaking of weird spellings, who here has never used Zillow? Zillow. Okay, who? That was a good answer. Okay. So, you're driving around, and you're seeing, God, I wonder how much that home is. In fact, I really liked it. I took some friends, we were going around San Francisco, and right along by the Presidio, up above the Presidio, you see some for sale signs, and we all dream a little, and I don't want to live on Snob Hill, but I'd like to live over there. And I fire up Zillow, and it'll show me public records, a close estimate to what the homes are. I'll show you. It's like Pillow. Z-I-L-L-O. Zillow. Huh? It should work anywhere. So, Zillow's fairly accurate, but don't take it as exactly accurate because it's based on public records. Bless you. So, it's a good idea, but also you get to find out details about homes, and of course our internet's being a little slow. But it'll show the tax rolls. In other words, what that house has been and what it's been valued over time. It'll show you the last time it was sold, if it's within the last 10 years. Now, this isn't Big Brother. These are public records, and that's where it's getting its information. So, iPhone, iPad, computer, everything. So let's do, let's see. Let's come on right here. I hate the iPad one, and they just redid it. Nearby, there we go. So there's our little zoom in by us. Let's just check some homes around here in a second here. Zooms in my accuracy. And let's use the iPhone one. Launch Zillow. Oh, see, it says I have no internet connection on the iPad. So Zillow, you can also go to Zillow.com in Safari if we have internet. So it'll show you for sale properties. That's kind of where it monetizes itself. It'll show you recently sold homes, but it'll also zoom into an address and show you what its property value is according to the tax assessor, because that's public knowledge. So Zillow, I'm sorry the internet's messing us up, but I know you're going to have fun with it. But it's really neat on the iPhone. You can hit nearby, and you're going along. And it really is. It's cool. It really is cool.
Yeah, I like to add, I sold a house, and it'll show the interior of the house. Best pictures I ever got.
Well, it got those pictures from the listing. So it stores the most recent listing. I mean, I've been in my house 6 years, and it still shows the listing from when I bought my house. So, another really good one like that if you're in the real estate market and stuff, it's called Redfin, R-E-D-F-I-N. And I find it has more up-to-date, and it's a little easier to navigate. But Zillow in itself is kind of the original, and it's what a lot of people use. So, but just remember, it's an approximation, or as they call it, a zestimate of what the price is. Go ahead.
This is kind of a partial of what we're talking about right now. Can you comment about Chrome? Why we should change to Chrome?
I've never told you to change to Chrome. You should have an alternate browser, and Chrome should be it. I think you should use Safari all the time.
Can you, what's the advantage of Chrome?
There's certain sites that may not work great with Safari. I mean, Safari is the best browser out there, but for instance, this Clipping Magic only works in Chrome because it exploits HTML5 better than Safari will. But they're both great. But I prefer Safari because it interacts with everything. You know, but Chrome is great. It's a good browser. I'm not anti-Google at all. I love Google. I think they copied the iPhone. You know, okay, Ken's going to step up on his soapbox for a second. There's a surprise. This iPhone, the original iPhone, was introduced on my birthday, January 9th in 2007. Seminal day in Apple. I mean, it has made Apple what it is today. Things like the accelerometer that goes sideways, this way, built-in accelerometer, was in the very first iPhone. The fact of when I make a phone call and I pull it up to my ear, the screen goes dark so it won't use up a bunch of battery and so my cheek won't hit the mute button. It's got a proximity sensor in there that senses when it gets near skin. You can tell on the shows when they're not really making a phone call on their iPhone, the light stays on. That, the GPS, so many things. What was out before this? BlackBerry and Trio. They were nothing compared to these. When Steve Jobs introduced it, he said, we're introducing a phone today, we're introducing a new iPod, and we're introducing an internet-connected device. We're introducing a phone, an iPod. Do you get it? It's all three in one. And there was nothing like that. Google's Eric Schmidt sat on Apple's board at that time. They stole the technology. Does an Android phone operate just like an iPhone? Before the iPhone, did phones operate like that? Not a bit. In fact, the prototype Android phone had a keyboard and used a stylus. So that's terrible. I support the innovators. Now, Apple, on most of the things they do, don't invent things as much as they take existing stuff and make it better and usable for you. Samsung has not innovated a bit. And I refuse to buy their phone because of it. I'm curious about it, but I actually just asked a client yesterday. She's a typical user. Actually, she's fairly techie, and she had an Android before the iPhone, and her kids she's a Mac person, but she had the Android first, and her kids guilted her into getting an iPhone. And I said point blank, and she said, no, I would never go back. And it's just the fit and the polish and everything. And you know, the patent part aside, by law, Apple has to protect their patents because the deal with patent law is if you don't pursue supporting your patent, you lose your patent. It becomes public domain. You are encumbered by law to do that. And what happens is they get behind the rooms, okay, you have some patents I want, and they get to agreements. Apple and Microsoft have worked very well with that in the past. They've done back and forth. Okay, you do this, you know, the whole Windows thing. Apple could have, you know, if they'd had the money, could have won the whole, you know, Windows put the trash can on the left and Apple put it on the right, and just to make it, you know, Microsoft different. But it really, it's just, they did this right from day one. And if you think about it, this has changed very little since it first came introduced January of 2007, and then the iPhone came out June 29th of 2007. And I mean, it was huge. Little side story to that. How the iPhone came about is Apple bought this company called Fingerworks. And I read this, and it was kind of obscure, and then it all kind of came together. And 3 weeks before the iPhone came out, I posted on one of the forums I'm on, I said, you know what, it's going to be a touchscreen and all this. And nobody had heard of touchscreen. But I remember 3 years before that reading that Apple had bought this company called Fingerworks. And Fingerworks is not just touch, but multiple touch. On our trackpad, on our mouse, multiple finger touch. That's huge when you think about it. Everything else was always stylus, one point, and it wasn't even touch sensitive. It was a stylus. This engineer is working on a tablet. Apple wanted to have a tablet, even though they said, oh, we don't. The guy walks in with this prototype of this tablet. He's an engineer for Apple, and he says, the phone was not even thought about at this point. Comes in and he goes, okay, we're working on this, and this is this multi-touch. And Steve Jobs looks at that and says, that would make an incredible phone. And the iPhone came out 3 years before the iPad. 2.5, 3 years before the iPad. He had an iPad design, and he looked at that and said, that'd be a great phone. And that's when they started building the phone, and 2 years after the phone came out, then the iPad came out. And that wasn't the first tablet, and this wasn't the first phone. But when you look at the adoption, and Apple's philosophy is, if you build, they're a hardware company. That's why Apple gives really good deals on their software, because they're a hardware company. And if you think back to the original iPad, and I'm good at predicting things, I blew it on the iPod. The iPod came out, and it was $2.99, and I'm not much into music, but I go, who the heck is going to spend $2.99 for a music player? Oh, what is Apple thinking? Well, okay, the rest is history, but there were other MP3 devices out there then. But it was the interface and the software that made it very usable. Apple's philosophy is, if you make compelling software, people will buy your hardware. And they're a hardware company. Microsoft is a software company. Google is whatever they are this week. And again, I really like Google, but I really think this was a crock. And now, competition's good, but I don't like it when they're saying that, it makes it look like it's sour grapes when they're doing what they're doing. They're just trying to protect their own intellectual property rights, which is what they're encumbered to do. And we don't know what we'll see with iOS 7. There's always something new. When the iPhone first came out, I said to Pete, we've had trackpads for a long time on our laptops. Before that, we had the ball or the little IBM stick thing. But look at how the trackpads evolved. When the iPhone first came out, I said, Pete, that's our new interface for a laptop. And if you think about it, now you have multi-touch on your trackpad. And I honestly think we're going to get to a point where the iPad can be a drawing slate for our computer. But voice, Siri, is the incredible interface. And that, they bought a company called Siri that was part of DARPA, the big Siri from Stanford Research Institute. And it was a project for the government on this whole voice recognition thing. And it uses Nuance is who does remember we did speech to text, that's part of it. That's Nuance, the company that makes Dragon Naturally Speaking. And then Siri is the artificial intelligence part. And Google has very good search voice capability. You know how weird this is Google for a long time gave you free 411 information calls. You could call a 1411 Google or something like that. You used to pay 50 cents, $1 or whatever before the internet was really big for information. Well, Google offered free. They don't do it anymore, but they offered free. That was their way to learn voice recognition. They used that project to learn voice recognition. Siri is still in beta, and it's getting better and better all the time. I'm sorry, the whole copying thing just gets me because it's, you know what? That's not innovating, that's copying. And if you look at everything Samsung has, it's Me Too all along the way. They have never innovated. Their refrigerators look like other people's refrigerators. They're a very vertical company, and it's tough because Apple buys some stuff from them. So, sorry, rant over.
One last question. Is Chrome an app?
Chrome is a browser you can download for your computer go to chrome.google.com. But there's also, and see, this is where Apple, they talk about Apple being this walled garden and being so restrictive. I can download the Chrome application and have an alternate browser on my iPhone. I can use Google Search and I can use Google Maps. Apple does not preclude that from happening. Apple says, let's make the best stuff and let's let the cream rise to the top. And that's because Apple likes you. It's not money, profit motivated. Apple makes enough money. I mean, they're yeah. Okay, ran on for 1 second. Every $40 of money collected by the U.S. government in taxes, one of every $40 is paid by Apple. So the Senate thinks they should pay more.
Yeah. they're willing to pay.
1.25% of all U.S. corporate and individual tax dollars is paid by Apple. Yeah. What's that? So they keep stuff offshore because they make money offshore, and also they buy stuff offshore. And what they do is completely legal. When we get deductions for business and other things, they're completely legal within the tax realm. But they say they should pay more. No, they shouldn't. They pay legally what they could. And believe me, they get scrutinized. When you're the largest corporation in the world as far as tax or your market cap, you know. Let me see if I have, I think I have, well, I think that was almost, oh, I want to show you GarageBand really quick on the iPad. GarageBand. It's $4.99. I cannot show you iPhoto. There's an app you need for your iPad. I'll show it to you afterwards. Unfortunately, it doesn't show up on the screen because I can manipulate photos and everything else. I can make the sky bluer and do those things with my finger in iPhoto for the iOS device, and it's $4.99. Now, I am not anything close to musically inclined, so this is good for me. So I'm going to go up here to Instruments, and I'm going to choose Smart Guitar. I can't play a lick of music, so I can... Oh, you know it's not coming out through the speaker, unfortunately. Well... I don't know why, because it's coming through that. We'll do a demo afterwards on that. I'm sorry, it's the whole speaker. Because I'm showing screen sharing, it either can go to the speaker or go to the screen. Luckily, Siri was able to do that. But I can do things like, if I turn it to, of course, I can pull down on a string. But I can play all kinds of tunes like this, and it'll make your own music. You could lay down a guitar track, and then lay down a drum track, and lay down a keyboard track right on. $4.99. It's probably better you can't hear it, because it's me.
What's the name of it again?
Garageband. Believe it or not, these devices and this, people that tune pianos can use these, and when they hit the notes, they can. It has an oscilloscope, and it'll, you know, and they can adjust it that way. Make sure I've covered everything else here. Oh, Banner. All right, let's do Banner. I do this for Pete during our classes all the time. Free app. Just say whatever you want. Sean needed to ask me if he needed to order anything. Just your own little neon sign. Banner, it's called. And
What's that called, man?
Banner.
Banner?
And I think it's Banner free, but Banner, B-A-N-N-E-R. Now, if you have an this doesn't, these two last apps, excuse me, don't work too well on the iPad. But your iPhone has a flash on it. So I have an app that's called LED. And pretty bright, huh?
Yeah.
And it's really not too bad at using my battery. So we used to always use the face of a phone. You know, you're going up to put your key in the lock and you turn your phone on and use the face. Well, now if you use the face, you're going to get blinded by this. LED. And I think if you're stuck, you can do SOS or... But realistically, it's... And I use this all the time for a flashlight. I'm crawling under, hooking somebody's router up or something. It works great. Doesn't do the battery too bad. But the other next one is... This one, the best way to find this next one is MAG period. And it's magnification. Because our eyesight's not getting any better. So now, if I go over my little... Well, actually... I don't have it either. This is a piece of paper. You can see... Actually, let's just go to camera first. So you can see this piece of paper. This is the regular camera app. Okay, there's a piece of paper, right? Trust me, it's a piece of paper. Now if I go to the Mag app, I can come in. You know how small those serial numbers are on Apple products? This helps me all the time. MAG dot, it also has a light for a helper, but my sister-in-law has trouble reading menus. She can use this on her iPhone now in the menu. Actually, she uses the light also because it's in, dark restaurants and stuff. But it is amazing.
You have to turn the camera on first.
No, this is a separate app and it uses the camera. Mag dot, it's called magnifying glass with light. But search under MAG period would be your best search for it.
And that's in the App Store?
That's in the App Store. And again, I recommend that more for, you can work it on an iPad, but the light doesn't work. But usually it's your iPhone for most of that stuff. Police radar scanner, override, iHeartRadio. Oh, Yelp. So you guys, Yelp is crowdsourced best places to get your car repaired, best place by people that give recommendations. So I'm going to show you how Yelp works on the two devices. Remember, this one's not plugged into anything, so it's going to give me the response I would see. So if I say, find the best sushi restaurant nearby. Come on, internet. Siri has to use the internet. There we go.
Okay, one of these sushi restaurants looks fairly close to you. I've sorted them by rating.
Oh, did I say best?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so she sorted them by rating. Find the nearest sushi restaurant. So it's all how you contextualize it.
One of these sushi restaurants looks fairly close to you. I've sorted them by distance.
Okay? Now if I do it with the headphone plugged in, I say, find the best sushi restaurant. And she'll go to the top one and direct you right to it because she wants you to leave this in your pocket and not look where you're going, just because there's a headphone plugged into it. So, and that's uses Yelp as the interface for the search, and you guys should sign up for a Yelp account. It's one of those things where, hey, I had a great meal at this place, and that's better than food reviewers because it's everybody. And throw out the top, throw out the bottom, and read the reviews in the middle is how you do it. And when you're looking at apps, same thing applies for those reviews. Anytime you go look for an app, use these things. The apps are really small. Question?
Yeah, does the sushi restaurant need to subscribe themselves?
No. No.
Where does Siri get it at?
From Yelp.
Where does that come from?
You and me?
I'm really sorry about this.
You and me? I go into a restaurant, I like it, I might do a picture of it. Now, there's some gaming that can happen, but for the most part, it's crowdsourced. And I'd rather have 35 people give me a review of a restaurant than some food critic that's got their nose way up in the air. Because it's more likely the 35 people get a true view of the restaurant than the food critic that orders 2 dishes. So, and remember, it's a community, so you should give your information back to Yelp. Don't make it be, and the nice thing about Yelp is, yeah, you get the bad reviews, but like anything else, everybody's going to talk about the bad. They rarely talk about the good. But if you like a place, go on Yelp, sign in, it's a free account, and say you like it. There's also some neat check-ins. Like with Yelp, certain restaurants will say, oh, $10 off a $50 food item or whatever. And you go here and it says if you check in with Yelp, you can leave any review. They don't say only with a good review. If you check with Yelp, you present your phone to them and give them a coupon. They'll give you 10 off on that meal or something like that. Certain places have what's called check-ins like that. And that's good because the more important Yelp gets, the more important that rating is for those restaurants. My mom in Arizona, we were looking for a Chinese restaurant. Didn't know about this place at all. We put it in Yelp. It was 2.5 blocks from where she was. It was fantastic. Little hole in the wall, really clean, everything else. And it had good Yelp reviews, and I'll tell you, it was fantastic. So, there was another question here?
And I got about 3 questions. I'm new to Apple.
Welcome.
Good.
We embrace that.
Yeah, as of last week, I got it. But if I, rather than take up the class time on this, could I email the questions to you in your spare time?
Spare time. You'll get it about 2 at night. Yes, please email me, but like I tell everyone, Mike, okay, first of all, I do this for a business, but also I think a lot of you know I give a lot of my time away. First of all, I get back to here, which is really important. But second of all, little questions like, man, I don't mind that at all, because it'll all come out in the wash. At some time, you're going to need some help with things where I have to come over and help. My rates are very reasonable on that, but yes, you sure can. But if you email me or call me, and you don't hear back from me in 24 hours, assume I'm in jail, or I'm dead. And if I'm in jail, you don't want me to ask you for bail, and I've never been in jail. So anyway, it's not bugging me to send me a reminder. It means of my 200 emails, it scrolled off the bottom. So go ahead and send it again. It's not bugging me. Same with phone calls, you guys. I apologize for that, but it is. When I'm working with a client, I usually don't answer my phone or emails. But the beautiful thing with Siri is I'm much more efficient because I have time driving between clients. And I can help remotely where I can get onto your screen with you and help you with many things. I have a lot of people that, it's wonderful. Why waste time driving to your house when we can do it? You can be in comfortable clothes, I can be in comfortable clothes, and neither of us knows. So.
All right, let me ask you one question right off the top. Being new, the first thing we got with Apple was an iPod. And I recorded tons of CD music. I'm finding that apparently you can't take that iPod music and put it into iMac.
Yes, you can.
That's what I'm
You have to be on the same iTunes account. And there's programs that can do it. There's one called Snooty, iTunes spelt backwards, that allows you to do kind of that. It's not that Apple doesn't want you to do it. It's the music industry has said, oh, we can't do these kinds of things because we rule the world. Well, there's ways around it. And yes, you can. Just don't sync it at Mighty Race and stuff. We just have to make sure they're logged in the same one. And there's ways to do that, yeah. And I'm happy to maybe send you some links. You can try it on your own. And if not, I'm happy to help. Yeah, you shouldn't. Are they your own CDs or somebody else's?
Ours.
So you can also redo them yourself. And we talk about the software interface on your iMac. Did your iMac have a CD driver, or is it the new one without a CD driver? Good, external. You pop that CD drive in, and a little window pops up and says, I'll play this for you, but do you want to import this into iTunes? Yeah. Make sure you're connected to the internet, and what a nice thing it does, it goes out over to the database, and it says, oh, this CD is Rod Stewart Volume 12 or whatever, and it brings in the name of the songs and all the information, and it brings it right into iTunes, and then you can get it to your iPod. But the stuff's in your iPod, and if it's named already, we can get it into iTunes for you. It's a little trick to do it.
Okay, thanks. If it's tricky, I need help.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you have a lot of them, you don't want to, again. So that's, the beauty of that is whatever happens, it's still available. We had a question here?
Yeah, I have both Yelp and Waze on my iPad. They're not on my iPhone.
Just go to the App Store. And they're free, right, but it won't say free, it'll say download. Because if you're on the same account, okay, music, apps for your Mac, well, music is up to 5 computers, unlimited iOS devices, apps for the Mac are not the same as apps for your iOS device, but if you get an app or music or movie on one iOS device, you can have it on 100 if they're on the same iTunes account.
But you have to download it separately.
Well, you have to get it somehow over to there.
Oh, I thought the cloud.
Well, it's not because the other thing is many times, like if you had 3 people on your iTunes account, they might download some app that you don't care about. You don't want it to automatically come over. You can set it to automatically download. That's in your settings. Okay. So if you go here into settings, go to iTunes.
Aren't the apps slightly different for the iPad and the iPhone?
Not always. The majority of them are the same. So when you look at an app, if it has a plus sign on it, it's the same for the iPad and the iPhone. Some companies will make it so you can do more things on the iPad because it's a little bigger. But for the most part, the majority of the apps we've talked about today, it's the same for both. Sometimes though, so there's certain iPad apps won't work on an iPhone. But if you get an iPhone app that's iPhone only, like my Sling player, I didn't buy the iPad one. I blow it up to double size on the iPad. In music, let's see, iTunes and App Store. iTunes and App Store, I can say automatically download those. So if you have that on, if you get something from the App Store on one device, it'll automatically go onto the other devices. But it still has to be downloaded. Nothing goes from device to device. It all goes via the cloud. In this case, it goes via iTunes. Leslie?
Ever since I had this iPhone,
Ah! It's because your case is pink. Because the case is pink. My case isn't pink, so let me show you how to do it. This actually applies to the iPad. In fact, I have the iPad on the screen. What happens is, remember, it has an accelerometer, so it can change side to side. If you double tap the home button and slide across, there's a little lock icon right there. See this? Yeah, and now it will rotate. That's a rotation lock. Because some people don't really want it, like I've been talking up here and you see my screen kept going back and forth like that. Let's see if I can get it on the iPhone. You get displayed there. So on the iPhone, right there, the lock screen. This little device, this little thing right here. Okay? That locks it or unlocks it if it's in the lock mode. Certain apps don't go sideways. Obviously, the phone app is designed. So that's the other weird thing is, the iPhone is really designed to be in portrait mode, up and down. The iPad is really designed to be in landscape mode. Okay? Thank you. Come on up if you have any questions. Oh, don't forget it's recorded, and I'll post it for you. Let me turn off the recorder.
This was a very good session.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, good.